It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever in the world you might be. Thanks so much for tuning in to Baby and Toddler Instructions. Today is Wednesday, September 16th, and the show is live. So if you have any questions or comments during the show, you can always call me at 877-864-4869. I love callers, but if you're listening to a podcast, you can also always contact me via my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. If you want to be a guest, don't be shy. You know what? Send me an email. Say, I want to be on your show. There's so many wonderful guests that I've had on and so many I haven't had on yet. You know, we all have wonderful things to share. Also, you can listen to all of my podcasts 24/7 by going to toginet.com. You can go to Stitcher.com, iTunes, and also, of course, my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. I am very excited about today's guest, who will be with us in just a bit. Her name is Kelly McConnell, and she is from Prince Lionheart, and she has so many great things to share with us. But first, I'm happy to say our weather here in Arizona is getting out of those triple digits at night, and during the day we're only in the 90s. But I have to say, you know, I'm not complaining. My gosh, the terrible floods that were on the Arizona-Utah border, they keep showing it over and over on the news, and it is just so sad. And I wish they would stop showing it, because these poor moms, you know, these poor people that lost their children, they're still looking for somebody, for one of the kids, I guess. It's just terrible. We have to be thankful for each day, and whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's sunny, you know what? It's not the weather. It's in your heart. Always be thankful. Get up every day and think about something you're thankful for, and before you go to bed at night, I always like to go over my day and think about what I did and hopefully not beat myself up too much for things I didn't do. So anyway, I wish everybody a good, happy day today. And let's see, speaking of Arizona and the weather, it's been a little scary here on our highways. I know it's not a news show, but I do want to tell everybody about this if you haven't heard it. Someone, or more than one person, has been shooting at random cars on one of our highways. And I have to say, it really makes you think when you're driving, because I was driving the other day on one of the highways, and they're, you know, they make it pretty, and there's so many trees and bushes on the side. I mean, if somebody popped up and just shot at a car, I don't know how they'd ever find them. They're working really hard to find out who's doing this. Fortunately, nobody's been hurt. But, you know, if you're going 65 miles an hour and your windshield shatters, hopefully you can stay in the right frame of mind and not hit anybody else, or, you know, something won't happen worse. So please pay attention while you're driving. And one of the reasons I am also bringing this up is please don't talk or text while you're driving. Here in Arizona, we do not have that law, and I think every state in the country should have it. No texting, no talking. You know what? Maybe the Bluetooth, I don't know. But you really don't realize how you're not paying attention when you're driving. So first of all, make sure your little ones are buckled in, whether it's a booster seat, whether they're in a baby seat, no matter what their age, make sure they're always buckled in. And forget it. You know what? I don't care who you have to say something to. Pull off. Get off an exit. If you have to text somebody, you have to answer a phone. Also, if your little one starts crying or kicking the seat or whatever it is, don't turn around and say something to him. Keep your eyes on the road. And again, pull off. An extra 5 minutes, you know, wherever you're going is not going to matter if you keep everybody safe. And if you think your child needs you in the back seat, pull off again. Keep everybody safe. So, you know, I hate to be negative on this, but I do. These are such important things that we have to remember. I do need to tell you about one other thing that happened here, because this really scared me. An 8-year-old was shot in the arm while he was sleeping. And why? because his babysitter was removing his handgun and it accidentally went off. I mean, wow. You know what? Something else to worry about. Do we have to frisk our babysitters? I'm not going to get into the gun anything here because this is about babies and toddlers and parents. And you know what? I love sharing information. But I do need to say, in my books, Help My Baby Came Without Instructions and Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions, I did put a couple chapters in there about finding a babysitter, a nanny, a preschool, how to screen them, what to ask them, how to ease them into it, have a working interview. Because when you leave somebody with your children, you know, they tell you, you can get a good feeling, get a bad feeling, whatever it is, and you can get references. But again, I have to say this, you need to feel comfortable. And, you know, maybe you do have to ask them what they think about guns. And maybe you do have to ask them if they have a gun. You know, lots of people have guns. Lots of people are safe with guns. Again, whoever you're going to leave your little ones with, make sure you know all about them, and don't be afraid to ask them. And if you're going to hire somebody to watch your little ones, well, you know, don't be afraid to ask anything. And if you don't feel right, then don't hire them. Even if you can't put your finger on what doesn't feel quite right, don't hire them. These are your children. You want to keep them safe. So let's go on to something positive. Oh, wait, one more negative thing. There were 2 recalls. But that's not a negative because it's going to keep your little one safe. The Jura Toys recalled fishing games. It's the sardines fishing game and starfish fishing game. The plastic worm at the end of the fishing pole can separate, producing a small part that can pose a choking hazard. You know, everything goes into their mouth. And additionally, the small magnet inside the worm can come out and they can swallow it. Whoa, that's not good. So that is the Jura Toy fishing game. Also, Sleeping Partners recalled the Moses basket, Tadpole's Baby and Kids Moses basket and stand. The basket fails to meet the federal handheld infant carrier standard, and it fails to meet the bassinet standard. The basket can slide off an inclined surface and can tip. Well, obviously, you don't want to put your baby in anything and then put them on top of a table where it's going to fall. But anyway, this was Sleeping Partners Moses baskets. I will put all of these on my website along with the rest of them. My website is mybestparentingadvice.com. And finally, before the break and before I welcome my wonderful guest today, this was really a pretty cool article in the New York Times. High-tech lights to help babies sleep or students to stay alert. Like many expectant parents, Tracy Mizrachi worried about how her newborn would sleep, so she paid attention when her doctor handed her a light bulb and said it would help. The small amber bulb called Sleepy Baby seemed to work well and created a soothing environment for the baby, now 16 months old, as he drifted off to sleep. It said the bulb's appeal was self-preservation, but it's also part of a technological revolution coming to our homes, our offices. I mean, we know how awful some of the lights are, and if you work and the light's not good, it really can affect your alertness and your mood, and you get sleepy, or you know what? It even says you can get grumpy if you're not in the right lighting. So this is pretty neat. Also, if you think about it, when we wake up and there's sunshine, most of us are in a good mood. When it's raining, you know, unless you love the rain, some of us are not so happy when it's dreary and cloudy. So this company, Sleepy Baby, made this light bulb, and they're also doing a lot of studies to also see that it's helping students. Researchers are determining how spectrum and intensity of light affect the brain and are looking at ways not only to promote sleep, but to enhance alertness, productivity, and learning. At Brown University, they're looking at how to help adolescents stay alert in school. And boy, that's a good one because sometimes they don't get enough sleep. So when you're a new mom, you're ready to willing to try anything that's going to help you and your child sleep. And other parents said that they tried this light bulb and they said it's a lifesaver, especially when you're a working mom. When this woman's daughter was about 5 months old, she found that she never woke up so much during the night at diaper changes. And then there was another dad that said the 4-year-old was an active night kid. He suddenly slept through the morning, and the change was so extreme that mom thought the boy might be sick and went in to check him 50 times, and she was amazed. So I'm going to see if I can get this company on the show because I think it's pretty cool, and it does make a lot of sense that lighting does affect sometimes the way we work and the way we face our day. So on that note, I thought that was a pretty cool story. Anyway, let me tell you a little bit about my guest before the break. Her name is Kelly McConnell, and she is a mom who understands the needs of parents and who's a second-generation co-owner of Prince Lionheart, a company that designs and creates top-quality parenting innovations. There's the flawless parenting you see on TV, and then there's reality. Boy, isn't that the truth. Prince Lionheart focuses on the reality by creating products based off of real life as parents, 42 years and going strong. Bath and potty, nursery, travel, home, play. Prince Lionheart has been family-owned, family-operated, and family-inspired since 1973. And I am not going to get into how it started, but I have to tell you I love the website because there's such an interesting story about how this company was actually started. But anyway, we're going to have a break in a couple of minutes, but I do want to say good morning to Kelly. How are you today?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for being on the show, and I'm very excited, like I said in the beginning, because our Arizona weather's getting so nice. We love it when we don't have the 100 degrees. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling in from just north of Santa Barbara in California.
Oh, but you have nice weather there.
We do. We actually had some rain yesterday, so it was very exciting because we're in quite the drought situation. So
I see
it
that.
was very well. Yeah. Yeah, but today it's back to sunny and mild, so we can't complain. Though we were doing a little happy dance yesterday with the rain.
Yes, I know. You know what? I think the happy dance is good when there's no rain for a while, especially here in Arizona. You know, I always laugh because we've been getting these terrible dust storms at night with rain, and it rains like 3 seconds. So it's really funny. I mean, my basil and herb plants are really happy when it rains, and I'm happy for the 3 seconds we get rain. Anyway, we are going to have a commercial break in just a few seconds, and when we come back, I am going to ask you first to tell my listeners how this company was started, because what an interesting story with the pictures of making things on the front of your website. So my guest today is Kelly McConnell from Prince Lionheart, and if you have a chance during the break, take a look at their website, princelionheart.com. They have great things. Anyway, the music will be coming, and we will be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. This is Uncommon Sense for Leaders, a forum for exploring leadership from the intellect, the heart, and the spirit. Whether you're a leader now or aspire to be a leader in the future, you owe it to yourself to learn about the big ideas that have shaped the careers of compelling communicators, masters of influence, and highly effective leaders. Uncommon Sense for Leaders. Tune in to hear thought-provoking ideas on every aspect of leadership. You can expect dynamic discussions with special guests, quick tips you can apply immediately for better results, and the tools you need to take you from where you are to where you want to be as a leader. Are you ready to crack the code for achieving unprecedented results? Then join the host for Uncommon Sense for Leaders, Catherine Carlisi, every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the All Business Radio Network.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Weight Watchers magazine reports that 49% of Americans start their day by eating cereal. Choosing the right cereal is important. Be sure that the cereal you choose is whole grain. Studies have proven that whole grain cereals can help you lose weight. The first ingredient on the box should be whole wheat, oats, brown rice, or rye. Be mindful that if your cereal has fruit in it, that it is real dried fruit and not fake fruit. Fiber is an important element, and cereals should contain 5 or more grams. Also check out the sugar content. Since 4 grams is equal to 2 teaspoons of sugar, choose a cereal that has 8 grams or less. Select a good cereal to start your day on the right track. For the Fitness Minute, I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I'm so happy you could tune in today. We are live. If you're listening to a podcast, you can always ask a question via my website, My Best Parenting Advice, and you can listen to all the podcasts on my website and on toginet.com, Stitcher, and iTunes. And I also want to say if you have a question, you can call us at 877-864-4869. I am so excited about my guest, Kelly McConnell. She is from the Prince Lionheart Company. And Kelly, I'm so happy you're here.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Can you tell my listeners, I was looking at how Prince Lionheart started, and I love the pictures on the front of your website.
Thank you. Yeah, we started back in 1973 in my grandparents' garage. My dad had gone to UCLA Business School and was the only student who didn't want to go out and interview. Instead, he wanted to work for himself. He just didn't quite know what he wanted to do. So he tried a number of different entrepreneurial endeavors, such as brewing beer in his bathtub and trying to sell it at swap meets, sweeping the UCLA Medical Center floor. He was a chauffeur driver for Jim Backus from Gilligan's Island. And he waited tables at Victoria Station, and he was just trying to figure out what he wanted to do. And with the last $400 that he had, he bought a bandsaw and some supplies, went home to his parents' garage, and created a wooden rocking horse that my mom then hand-painted and decorated, and took them to, I believe it was Bullock's, and he had 6 in his truck, and he had 1 under each arm in the elevator up to the buyer, and the buyer took them, and anyone in the elevator wanted one, so he said, I have more in my truck. And that's how we started. So it started with handmade wooden rocking horses. In fact, in my office right now, I have one of the first that my dad signed, Merry Christmas, to me in 1978. And that was 5 years after they'd started the company. Wow,
that's great. And you know what? You do have some riding toys on your site that are so cute.
Yeah, we do. They're a lot of fun. You know, for us, we try to keep it simple. We're inspired by our own children. I have a son who's now 7. My brother, who's our creative director, has a son who's almost 2. And we really are about, we don't have the bells and whistles, the toys that plug in and go blink and, boop. It's all about just kind of letting their imagination go. So in addition to ride-ons, which, obviously are great for motor skills development and confidence and just fun, we do a number of play mats that allow them to just use their imagination and kind of, copy what they see their parents doing by driving their own cars on the roadways and things like that.
I love it because we always say sometimes less is best. And while technology is here, it's so nice to let the kids be creative on their own. We talk about this on my show all the time. For some reason, I always end up talking about this with my guests because, you know what? You want them to be creative and use their imaginations. It's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important to us to have unstructured play and to let them use their imaginations because their imaginations, they're brilliant. I remember my son, obviously he's a guinea pig, given Prince Lionheart is always giving him products to test and things like that. And one of our play mats, it's all beautiful art. We had an Italian artist design it, and it's really engaging art. And we went beyond. A lot of our products have stories to tell. So we say the love is in the details. So, for example, on every play mat, we have clustered animals or fish, if it's the ocean scene or what have you, with 1 fish, 2 whales, 3 octopus or something, so that parents can actually get down on the ground with their children and engage. And as they're developing age appropriately, say, can you find 3 fish? Can you find 4 fish? Where's the red fish? Where's the blue fish? That type of thing. We've also hidden things within the mats, like a crown for Prince Lionheart. And some of the characters are actually my brother, my dad, my mom.
So
we have fun with it because for us it is about quality time. I'm a working mom. My brother's, we're both single parents, and time is our most precious resource, and the time that we have with our kids is the best. So everything we try to do, we try to think about the opportunity to enhance family life and to have that quality time where both parties can engage happily. There's certain things that I'm not big on imaginative play, but my son knows I'll always sit down with him and do a puzzle, color. You got to find what's right for you so that you're actually engaged and not distracted. And that's what we try to do. We try to give parents those tools.
And you figure out what your child does like. If you're listening and you're near a computer, check out PrinceLionheart.com. You have to look at these mats. They're just beautiful. The colors are bright and vibrant, and, I love them, and I'm going to get off the phone and order one for my grandson. It's wonderful.
Well, congratulations.
And I love getting on the floor and doing things with kids. It's so much fun, and it's amazing what you learn from them. So let's talk a little bit first. We always talk about child-proofing the house and making a safe and sanitary environment for the kids. And with the recalls, I was talking about how things go in their mouths, which we know everything goes in their mouths.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your products. You have something called a crib rail protector, which I've never seen.
Yeah,
that's
actually a product. Yes, it's a product that we manufacture in California. We've always manufactured ever since the original rocking horse in California. Not to say we do everything, but right outside my balcony we have a number of injection molding machines, thermoforming machines, silicone machines, because it's important to us to make it home. That's a core value for us. And wherever we can, we implement recycled materials. So we use a lot of 100% recycled plastics and things. And the crib rail protector is made out of medical-grade silicone. And we also have a TPE version. But they're great because, what happens with the cribs, they're painted or they have a varnish on them. And kids do learn with their mouth, and they tease. And I've seen some incredibly kind of like a horse cribbing on a fence rail, super splintered crib rails. And those splinters are being ingested by the child, but not just that. Even if they're just mouthing on them, they're ingesting harmful varnishes and paints. And so it's always been a product in our line ever since I can remember, where it's just a friction fit. 4 lengths come in one box to fit one side of a standard crib rail. And then you just snap them on, and at least they're teething on something that's soft, but also is not going to harm them.
Do you make them for porta cribs? I'm thinking about schools. I work in an infant room, and the cribs have that little plastic piece.
We have, I know what the plastic piece I know you're talking about. There are certain widths. We have 2 different widths, so it could be, and they could also be cut down. So it could work. We don't make them custom specific for porta cribs. We make them for more standard cribs. You'd have to try it.
A new part of your business, see?
There you go.
You need to hit the schools.
There you go. Yeah. No, it is amazing. Our schools, they use a lot of our products just because they're durable. I mean, we don't I guess what we say is we answer to a good night's sleep, and we don't, as opposed to shareholders. And so a lot of our products, they're built to last. A lot of our families are able to use them through multiple children and then still have them. In fact, one of the original nursery jar sets that my mom hand-painted. It came after the rocking horse, but it was 3 jars with kind of a brush and comb set and things for diaper changing. In fact, Princess Diana had one in her nursery for Prince William. But my mom used to hand-paint the front jars, and it was probably about maybe 9 years ago. Here I'm an adult, and I was in a thrift store in Ventura, California, and with my friend, just shopping around, and I found one of her nursery jar sets. So somebody had held on to it for 40 some odd years, and there it was. And I bought it and brought it home, and she was just shocked. So we definitely build things to last.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, no, it's pretty funny.
So did I ask you, who is Prince Lionheart?
Well, he's the 3rd sibling in our family. I wish I had a better story for it. My dad was just thinking about comic book characters and didn't want anything limiting like Tom's Toys, where he'd have to make toys the rest of his life. So he came up with it, and we've just been fortunate that it's worked around the world. My first job out of college was to move over to Europe and set up Prince Lionheart in the UK, which has now become our European global headquarters, or our European headquarters. But it's done well. I think all over the world, the name has served us well, and he really is the 3rd sibling in our family. So my brother and I never got pressured, but we both work within the business, and we do everything we can to give back to, Prince Lionheart, who's given us so much.
You know what? I love the name. It's a great name because you don't forget. It's different.
Yeah.
And then you go, wait a minute, I have to tell you about this company. We're going to have a commercial in just a few minutes, so I don't want to get into anything too long. But you know what? Quickly, tell my listeners before the break about this wonderful faucet extender.
That's a gem. So that was brought to fruition, inspired by my son, who I would have to fight tooth and nail to get him to wash his hands. And it was one of those, he got tired of the balancing on my knee with his tummy squished against the sink, and he just refused to wash his hands. And so we brought the faucet extender out that brings the water source closer to him. And then when used in tandem with our step stool, it gave him independence. And once I gave him independence, the battle stopped, and he was washing his hands on his own. So it's a great way to get your kids into healthy patterns.
You know what? I love this. It's such a great thing. And when they're little, you have to pick your fights. And the self-esteem is great when they can do it by themselves, because especially the little toddlers, one of their favorite words are self, self, self. Yeah. And as they use more words, they say, Mommy, do self. And anything they can do themselves is wonderful for self-esteem, and it teaches them, it teaches them how to also keep their hands clean with everything that is so dirty nowadays. And babies and toddlers touch everything. So if you can get them to do it themselves, they are so proud, and it makes it so much easier for you because you're not fighting with them.
Absolutely.
So when we come back from the break, we are going to talk all about, I think we're going to talk about seating, because, so many parents will have babies on their lap when they eat, or when they just start to eat, they'll put a pillow on the seat. When they just start having table foods, if they don't have the high chair, or if they're in between, they'll, put some pillows on the seat and kind of tie them in, which I see and go, oh my gosh, don't do that. They're going to fall. So when we come back, we're going to talk about the hazards with improper seating and the proper seating at the table, because Prince Lionheart also has some wonderful things that can help. And we want to keep our little ones safe every second. It takes just a second for accidents to happen, so we don't want that. Anyway, we will be right back. Please stay with us.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Do you ever wonder if you're the only woman who runs errands in her yoga pants so it will look like she went to the gym? Or how about the only mom who feeds her kids raw cookie dough? Or are you the only one who cooks her family cold cereal for dinner? Do you need more laughter and less loudness? More self-love and less self-loathing? More joy and less judgment? You're not alone. Come to the living room, a place where we get comfy, candid, and confident together. Come seeking sanctuary and leave feeling renewed. We're saving a seat for you. Give yourself some living room today.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network. Radio with a cutting edge.
LinkedIn. It's a great tool and a great way to do business in today's social media driven world. And Carol McManus is the LinkedIn Lady with the LinkedIn Lady Show. Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern on allbusinessradionetwork.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And the LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, such as business owners who can showcase their business and talk about how they use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, linkedinlady.com. As trends change and new applications become become available, the LinkedIn Ladies Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-use, fun, and engaging way. Every Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's the LinkedIn Ladies Show with Carol McManus on allbusinessradionetwork.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am talking to my wonderful guest, Kelly McConnell, who's a mom, and she understands the needs of the parents. She's a second-generation co-owner of Prince Lionheart. I mean, they have such great products. And before the break, I told Kelly we wanted to talk about seating at mealtime, because so many times you'll see parents, especially when they're out, they will try to finagle something. If they have a toddler that eats at the table with them and they're too big for the high chair, they'll put a couple pillows. And I've actually seen a dad take his belt off and try to hook the child into the chair when they were out, because, obviously you don't want the child to fall off the chair. And you know what? It's not safe. And when your child is ready and you want them at the table, how do we keep it safe?
Well, we kind of subscribe to the notion that everyone deserves a seat at the table. We don't have a high chair in our line because often high chairs create islands into themselves with, the baby off a fair distance from the table. And so all of our seating options range, but they develop with the child. So our earliest seating option is the BabyPod Flex Plus. It can be used on the floor, but also attached to an adult chair safely. It comes with a 3-point harness that goes around the child, as well as the dual strap system that goes around the adult chair, so that you can actually seat them on the chair and then feed them, but they have a seat at the table. And to us, that's important. And then, as they grow, they can stay in that seat for a long time. But at about 12 months, we have other seating options, so that you can have the Boost with a tray. You can have the Booster Pod, which is all of our seats are very comfortable. They've got soft, squishy tops and rigid bases with non-slip feet, and all of them attached to the chair, with the exception of the eldest version in the range, which starts at 3 years. That's when the kids no longer want the baby straps and they just want to sit by themselves in a chair, but it raises them so that they have a seat at the table. And I think one of the things about the straps is it also encourages that table manners start they start early. And so they're kind of designed for age appropriateness, and the straps come off once a child realizes that, okay, when we're all sitting together at the table, we're sitting together at the table. We aren't getting up. We aren't running around. We aren't doing all of that. And so, not that they're, uber restrictive and it's like sit here, eat everything until you're finished, but at least it prevents them from that easy temptation until they're a little bit more age appropriate and get into the routine that everyone sits at the table. So we have ranges from 3 months to 3 years and above, for those who just need an extra boost at the seat, to those who actually need the restraints and the stability, because it really does take a second. And I've seen a lot of, just like you, I've seen a lot of improper inventions to get kids to sit at the table. And, it's just not worth it, because any fall from any height can leave a mark, and we want to avoid those actions that leave marks.
Exactly. I am so happy you said the thing about the manners, because, the please and the thank yous are lacking a lot today. We all know when we go out, you know what, people forget to say it, or maybe children weren't brought up like that. But I think it's so important. I don't care if your baby doesn't understand. You can always talk to them and use the please and thank yous. And I love that everybody has a seat at the table.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy, and this is just personal. It drives me crazy when you see a child that's eating things all over the house. In my house, we ate at the table.
Right.
We didn't eat on the floor, and we didn't eat walking around. And also, it's not safe to let your little one eat and run around and walk around. They can choke.
Yeah.
So, and the seats are really very cool colors, and you know what? They're fun. I have a question though. Looking at this little baby pod. Mm-hmm. Can you put a baby in there when they're just starting to sit up and they don't totally have the 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 head
The trunk
action
strength?
and the back strength, but they sort of want to sit up and they want to play and they don't like tummy time. What do you think?
So we recommend once they're able to self-support their head, which is about 3 months. But I had a Halloween party where all the kids came in costume, and they were sub 3 months, and I had orange baby pods all across my backyard, and they were, when they don't have the head support, they sit there with their, sit there slumped. So
Right.
it's optimized for when they're able to self-support their heads. But we have heard from people that sitting upright for short periods of time helps them develop the trunk strength. So,
Exactly. And with your harness, it gives them enough support.
Yeah, and it's designed to be a little cocoon, so they aren't gonna squirm out at that age, but it gives them an upright view, because when they're that little, they're either on their back or on their tummy. And when they're upright, they can kind of watch the world go by. And then when you add, with the Baby Pod Flex Plus, it comes with a tray, it comes with placemat, and the placemat itself, they're different fruit slices. So the watermelons, the high contrast of the dark seeds against the red watermelon, the kiwi, the dark seeds against the green, and then we have one with blueberries. The kids are just mesmerized by the high contrast, and so they look at that, and then you can also remove the placemat and snap in a custom-made toy that's super stimulating, and they just sit there playing with it, and it grips inside the tray so that it doesn't go anywhere, and they tease on it, and they listen to it, and they spin it, and it's a great product. It really is.
You know what? It is great. And a lot of times your baby may not like tummy time, so at least you're getting them upright, and as long as they have something to look at, I mean, this is really good when you have a child that's that age. Also, what about, in our homes, many of us have tables that have sharp edges. Yeah. And I've heard parents say to me, oh, they're not going to run into it. Oh, they'll see it. And, when a baby starts pulling themselves up, they're not very steady. And it takes a second to, God forbid, hit the eye, the head,
Yes, it's true. So the average toddler takes 176 steps a minute. That's a lot of steps. And
what age? What age is that?
I'm not sure, actually. It's just a stat that we have, and you see it. And, you hear about the Olympians who were tasked to follow every action of a toddler, and they were exhausted. They couldn't do it because the toddlers are everywhere. But this is one that is this one makes me smile because it's as if the cobbler's son has no shoes. Because my son, when he was 14 months old and just toddling, cracked his head open on the edge of a table. And we were in England at his grandmother's house, and I kid you not, we were there for 2 seconds. So it happens that quickly. He toddled over to a table she had made, fell, and got a slit across his eyebrow. Just blood everywhere. And I thought, oh, here we go. And so we were off to the emergency room in England and that type of thing. On our way back through customs, my son looked like he'd gone around with Tyson. He was all bandaged and bloody, and it was a traumatic experience for all of us because he's, crying his head off, and they're trying to, super glue it and this, that, and the other. And so the customs officer said, they make foam that protects the edges so that your kid doesn't crack his head open. And I just smiled because we were the first to do the foam. And I just said, but Grandma in England didn't have it. And I just smiled and said, oh, yeah, I should check it out, even though, in my warehouse we have tons. And in my home we had it. Because the reality is there is such thing as a soft landing, and it doesn't. The falls are inevitable. They just don't always have to end up in the ER.
Right. That's so funny because my grandparents always had a shoe store, and I never had the right shoes. And that's the perfect segue to that, to go into that, because you don't think about it. And
That's
especially, I talk about visiting grandparents or visiting relatives, they're not always childproof. One of the first things I always say is, make sure to ask them to put their vitamins, their pills up in a locked cabinet. But I never say what you just talked about. What kind of tables do you have? And, because a lot of times they'll say, oh, you got to watch your child or they're not going to do this. But as you're talking, I'm picturing, a toddler going back and forth as they're toddling along because they're just not that steady.
No,
that's
really
how they
true.
learn.
And my grandma's house is when Dylan was young, I called it the no-no house because she had all of these beautiful, intricate ceramic things over, the tabletops, and nothing was childproof. And so it was high stress for me because I was following him around, like, no. And so it was the no house. And it's too much stress for a parent, so I just invite her over to our house. Luckily, we live close enough. But yeah, it's not every house is baby-proof, that's for sure. So I guess the onus falls on the parent.
What do you think about taking things, since you have this company, what do you think about taking childproof things when you go visit somebody?
Well, I don't know how many people would be amenable to that. I think it's more realistic for the no. However, there are items you can take. Like you can take any of our seating solutions, because they're easy to transport. You can take a playmat. We have a number of various versions. Some that fold like an accordion, some that fold like a mat. They all come with a reusable carry case or strap. And those are all good things to take, so that at least you can guarantee that your child's going to have, a clean space to lay, play, change a diaper, what have you. Because, my grandma has dogs, and there's dog hair everywhere. And, with a baby, that's kind of gross.
It is, because then they get it in their mouth and all over the place. No,
so there are some things.
You have some great things. And what about the fireplace? That always scares me.
Yeah, so the same thing, in terms of we don't have a fireplace guard that most fireplaces have the guard to prevent the children from actually accessing the logs and the flames. But a lot of them for the hearth, we have the same foam, because when I was growing up, we had a brick one, and I remember my brother and I used to wrestle, in front of it, and inevitably one of us would wrestle right into the edge of the brick and get a nice knock on our heads. So we have the same foam, and it comes in a small profile as well as a jumbo profile, depending on what you're trying to protect. But it's definitely a good investment because it's inevitable. It really is inevitable.
It is, and I'm glad you're saying that. You know what? That's unfortunately, children do fall and they do bounce. It seems like toddlers bounce. They may cut something or get a bump when they're doing it. But, the more you can child-proof and keep it safe, the better, as they are learning to toddle around and what's safe and what's not safe. When we come back from our next break, I'm going to ask you if you have a favorite parenting tip.
Okay.
Because there are lots of them out there, and I love to have my listeners hear what all my guest tips are. So we will be right back. Please stay with us.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
This is God in Country, the collision of faith and politics, hosted by nationally known speaker, Reverend Dr. Sean Michael Greener. Not your typical Rev. Dr. Sean is a proud military veteran, former law enforcement officer, and founder of the internationally regarded Executive Protection Team. Dr. Sean holds a bachelor's degree in biblical counseling and master's and doctorate degrees in theology, and is currently pursuing a doctorate in ministry with a Hebrew worldview focus. Through his counseling, elite life coaching, and national speaking, this ninja pastor tells it like it is. This series is biblically and politically engaged with the pedal to the metal. Join host and author of the acclaimed yet controversial book, Excellence Killed the Church, How Mediocrity is Destroying America, Dr. Sean Michael Greener, every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this radio network.
Darling, what is going on?
Whatever do you mean, dear?
Well, why have you taken me to our special place to eat?
Sweetheart, I took you to El Charro on the Ridge tonight because I know you love it, and I wanted this meal to be the very best.
Oh, honey, those fajitas smell divine.
I know, my dear. Everything about El Charro on the Ridge is wonderful, just like everything about you.
Oh, my sweet, sweet man.
I can't stand it any longer. Let's take our love of El Charro food and each other to the next level. Marry me, darling.
Baby, you don't know how long I've waited for you to ask. Of course I'll marry you. As long as you promise to take me to El Charro's on the Ridge on Old Jacksonville Highway by Brookshire's Fresh. Anytime I want. I'll be yours forever.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Doing it all for my baby. Doing it all for my baby. Doing it all for my baby. She's inside and she can be. Doing it all for my baby.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I can't believe we're up to the last part of the show. It goes so quick. I always wish we had more time. There's so much to talk about, and I love my guests. And Kelly McConnell from Prince Lionheart is with me today, and she's great. Their products are wonderful. So before the break, because I didn't want to put you on the spot, I said I was going to ask you what your favorite parenting tip is because you're a mom.
So the one that comes to mind is trust in yourself, because what annoys me are all of these parents who are judging other parents. And, you know, I'm a single mom, I'm a working mom, and there are plenty of days where I feel like I'm not doing enough, I could be a better mom, and you know, sometimes I get down on myself because I'm not the mom that I had. She was a homemaker. She was a great mom. But I think trust in myself, because I have to realize that I am the very best mom for my son, but also check myself, because there are times when, you know, life gets crazy, my fuse gets short, and I have to check myself to just make that tiny little shift in my mind in perspective, where rather than, you know, getting mad at whatever it may be, enjoying it, because in just a short time it's going to be gone. So it's really kind of trusting in I think it's important for all parents. You are enough, and you are exactly what your child needs. It's okay to, you know, it's great to question yourself and check yourself, but stay positive, because, you know, parenting is hard. It's one of the hardest things. A day at my office is way easier than a day at home, but it's so much sweeter. I mean, it's the best thing I've ever done to have a child, and my son is my life. But just be conscious of that, you know, we need to give ourselves a break, I think. Just trusting myself and checking myself. That's my parenting tip.
That's a great tip, because so many times as mom we have used that terrible word, the G word, and we're guilty, and we should have, and we could have, and
right.
You know, and we do compare ourselves to other moms, but it doesn't matter, because everybody's different, and you are enough for your child. And I'm so happy you said it. It goes so quickly, because it really, really does. Just enjoy. You know what? Don't beat yourself up. Also, we women have great intuition, and if you think that something you're doing is great and somebody says to you it's not, you know what? You need to do what's in your heart, because you'll be right.
Right.
You will be right. Moms know. So also, tell my listeners where they can find you and your products.
Well, you can certainly check out our website, princelionheart.com, and it has a list of retailer page where you can search for your local area. We are placed in many independent retail stores all over the world, as well as online in the major retailers. So if it's, you know, product specific, not every major retailer has us, nor does every independently owned. But the website is probably your best bet to start, so you can kind of do a deep dive, see what we have. A lot of people don't realize we have as much as we have, because there are a number of great products that we didn't touch on today. But, you know, our objective is to enhance life with family, and, you know, whether it's by making it easier or more enjoyable or more connective, that's what we try to do.
And you'll want everything. You're going to want to buy it. I'm not kidding. This morning I was looking again. I've looked before. There's so many great things on there. We didn't touch on the kitchen, and you have something that's called the Stove Guard, which I think is fabulous.
Yeah. No, again, it's one of those things that'll leave a mark, and we want to prevent the things that are going to leave a mark. So, curious hands and toddling feet, it's far too easy for them to burn their hands or to pull down a pot with boiling water and leave a mark. So the Stove Guard is actually a polycarbonate guard, which polycarbonate technical term, but it's great because it's fit for the purpose. So it's kind of heat resistant, and if it ever were to catch fire, it would self-extinguish as opposed to plastic that would continue to burn. And it attaches, even if you have a rounded edge to your stove top or the counter, you can attach it differently. So it really prevents children from being able to access the hot areas or any of the pots and pans on top of it.
Exactly. And that doesn't take away from having your children help you in the kitchen. Kids love to help you cook. Sit at the table, put them in one of the wonderful little seats, and let them help you mix the eggs. Or if you're making cookies, let them hold the spoon. And you don't have to do things at the stove. Mommy always does things at the stove. That's what I used to always tell my kids. You can mix. I do the things that are hot. So this is really great. Also, what's the top safety tip for when you're outside with your little one?
Well, again, the sun is going to leave a mark if you allow it to. We come from a history of skin cancer in our family, and so I've always been conscious of it. And, there's sunscreens that are great, some better than others. Some, the whole idea of chemicals on your baby, there's a lot of controversy around it, but it's delicate skin, it's new skin, and it's important to protect that skin. And so we have a number of products. One is the Snoo Shade, which is a high UPF shade that goes on car seats as well as strollers. And it also serves as a blackout curtain. So if you're out and about and it's nap time and you want to stay on the schedule, you can just kind of zip them in, and it blocks out stimulus so that they can fall asleep. So it's great for the consider them the blackout curtains for when you're on the go, but also the high UPF blocks the harmful rays. And it's still mesh. It still allows air to flow and all that sort of thing. And with your littlest ones, like in the infant car seat carrier, at the grocery store and all that, where there are germs and, bugs and everything, and then a lot of older women who want to, touch your baby.
I just said that because I was going to add it.
you can keep them kind of guarded from the outside environment a little bit better until you're ready to actually debut your baby.
Yes, and that's, what, we can't put anybody down because everybody loves a baby, and it's really cute, and they all want to see it, but why strangers touch babies is beyond me.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe once you're a mom, you know not to touch somebody's baby or somebody's belly or whatever. So really quickly before I say goodbye, I know you were at a toy show in Germany. Anything that you absolutely loved that we should think about you coming out with after looking?
Yeah, in terms of innovation, one of the coolest things, as I mentioned earlier, even though we make plastics, we try to be as responsible as possible, because one day I'd like, my son to be able to see polar bears in the flesh. And we feel a social responsibility to be green wherever possible. And there was a really cool stroller from a Dutch company called Green Tom, and it was 100% recycled. So the plastic was recycled, the seating canopy as well as the seating area was all made out of recycled plastic bottles. And then the tires even went so far as to have not recycled, they got scraps from the factory of a chewing gum factory. So they're chewing gum tires, kind of plastic bottle seating area and canopy, and then total recycled plastic. And, that's just cool. And they come in, they're planning to launch at the ABC show upcoming in October here in Las Vegas. And yeah, it was kind of a neat product. Beautiful designs, comes in white and black, lots of different options with like the jogging type wheel configuration, the normal configuration, but a cool product.
I am so happy you said that about the chewing gum, because we were talking during the break, and I was going to ask you, did they go out and ask people to spit their gum in a bucket so they could make the tires?
From a factory. Scrap is something that people don't often think about as it being recycled, but if it's not recycled, it's trashed. And so, like in our factory, we take all of our scrap, we regrind it, and then we reuse it. And so there's really a very low waste footprint. And anything that we receive, like our cardboard, we bale it. Any plastic from packaging, we bale it, and then we recycle it. So there are ways to be very responsible, even when you make plastic products.
I am so happy to hear that because so much goes to waste.
Yeah.
And you know what? It doesn't have to, but it's just so cool how we can recycle things. And it's wonderful that we can use everything and make it new again. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being on the show. I love your products. I'm going to have to go order everything after the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank
and congratulations on your grandson.
Oh, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
What a fun show. You know, I love all my guests. I've met so many wonderful people, and I try to have guests on that I would buy things from, and I love what they share. Next week, my guest is going to be another favorite. Her name is Mary Beth York. She calls herself the makeup artist to the stars. And, you know, when you're pregnant or when you just had your baby, or if you're a grandma, we all want to feel like we look good. When we feel like we look good, we feel good. You know what? Everything's better. I've always talked to people that said if I'm having a bad hair day, I feel crappy all day. Anyway, Mary Beth has some wonderful products, and she's going to talk about how it only takes like a few seconds to make yourself feel pretty, even if you have that shirt on where your baby has thrown up on it. So Mary Beth York will be on next week, and I know you'll love it. I hope you can join us. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, and on Facebook I have 2 pages, My Best Parent Advice and also Baby Instructions, and I try to post every day. I post my tips. I put all kinds of pictures. I love sharing with everybody. I'm also on Pinterest and LinkedIn and Google, and one of my new favorite things is Periscope. If you don't know about Periscope, it's part of Twitter, and it's little short videos, and I go on there with my, research and development, little Alex, who's research and development department, that I try things out on him anyway. I go on there with him and make little videos and show you some parenting tips, things that you don't think of if you're a new parent. So that's Periscope. And so also I just posted a new article on my website, My Best Parenting Advice, called Separation Anxiety, How You Deal with It with Your Little One. So I'd like to leave you today with these gems. As a mom says to her 3-year-old, I'm sorry, I don't speak Chinese. And when your kids are little, they never stop asking questions. But when your kids are older, they never stop telling you your answers are wrong. And finally, to all new moms, never lick a brown sponge off your child. You can't be sure it's chocolate. So on that note, thanks so much for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your week. I want you to all stay safe. Enjoy each day with your little ones. Take some time to sit down on the floor and play with them. And if they're older, take some time to talk to them. Ask questions, see what they answer. So you have a great rest of your week. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.